Hello, hello, everyone. I have to figure out how to press a button real quick because it's got me doing some kind of moderation and I don't need that. All right, let's see if I can fix it back. Okay, there we go. Whew. You know, when it does stuff like that to me, it makes me a little nervous. All right, let me see. I need to lower my volume and I need to find myself. There we are. All right. I know tonight is a little different of a night compared to normal, so I'm not even sure who will be able to join us, but I will keep on going with tonight so that we can get our paper pumpkin alternatives together. I most of you, I had kind of posted on Facebook that I had gone to the doctor because, well, I was really congested and have been for several weeks and finally just could not even breathe on Monday. So finally went to the doctor. Funny enough, I had strep. And it wasn't even ever my throat. So who knows? Who knows? It's the crazy world we live in, right? So I actually have never felt like horribly bad. I just haven't been able to breathe. So I thought I was going in for a sinus infection. Totally not. So I had to even stay out of work for a full 24 hours for my medication, which kind of stunk, but that's okay. That's okay. If you are here, make sure that you tell me hello. Make sure you just let me know that you're here. Also, make sure that you give me a thumbs up, and I'd love for you to share my video if at all possible. So let's dive into Paper Pumpkin. This was a good set or a good kit for this month. They were little boxes like this, little cute boxes, and then you make tags to go on top. So of course tonight we're going to do some alternatives to those boxes. We're actually not even going to use the boxes, so kind of cool. We're probably going to I'm going to probably make up a bunch of boxes and give them to the nieces and the nephews with cash and whatever else, right? Because that makes it easy to do that. So, all right, so let's get started. We are going to create our first card. So I'm going to put you guys down onto our table here. Before I turn it around, I'm going to just make sure that I don't make you sick. All right, I'm just going to make sure it's straight for you, and then I will lock it in. All right. Okay, my hands are there. That's a good sign. All right, so our first card is going to be this one right here. And what I did was for this card is I really just brought in the cardstock to make it into a card. And then I kind of took the pieces and just kind of arranged them to come up with this pattern or this layout of products. There we go. That's the words I'm trying to use at the moment. So let's start by grabbing our little packet here of fun stuff. And this card actually uses just about only products other than the cardstock from the kit itself. So that makes it easy, because who doesn't have cardstock galore, especially when you're a crafter, right? We have tons and tons and tons. So, all right. So our first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our little piece here. This is one of our tags. We are going to put some seal on it. And I'm going to put some seal over this. This is kind of where that hole is. And so I just want to make sure that I put that over there. And sorry, I'm getting, apparently I had a piece of hair or something. So I had to get that off. And then we're going to line this up over here. I want to get it as straight as possible. It may not be perfect, but it'll be close, right? Crafting is not always about perfection. And well, unless your name is Amy, I try to make it perfect, but it doesn't ever really happen that way, right? All right, so we've got our piece on there. And then we've got our two little cutouts that we did or yeah, cutouts from the kit itself. So we're gonna take these and we're gonna do the back side. So this is basic beige on the back. So we're gonna do that. And then we're gonna do the darker side of this wreath right here. These are like little hollies. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to brave some liquid glue. Hello, Nancy. I am doing pretty good. I actually had strep throat on Monday, which is why I was not live. um, so you know the fun things, but we are back and ready to go. All right, so we are gonna do. Ooh, that's probably a little too much, and we're just gonna do it in a couple of little places here. I don't even really want to do it on the leaves because the leaves won't necessarily line up with the hollies. All right, so there we go. All right, so now I'm going to take it and I'm going to line it up with my hollies here. Just going to place it on there. It's going to be off-centered a little bit, but that is quite all right. We're going to flip it over and then press it down. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to take some mini glue dots. Yes, Nancy, it was quite a shock to find out I had strep throat. That was not what I went to the doctor for. I went because I thought I had a sinus infection because, you know, I'd been congested or whatever. And well, one of the kids gave me strep throat. So that was fun, but it's all right. I never actually felt like I had strep throat. So that's always a good thing, right? All right, so we're just going to put little mini dimensionals along the outside. And we're getting it in spaces that are a little bit larger surface areas there so that it really won't show. But if it does a little bit, it'll be all right. We're not going to stress over it too much. Then we're going to take off those backings. And whoop, see if I can get them. There we go. And then we're going to take and place this down. And we're going to do the little straight lines here. We're going to kind of put those up a little bit, kind of toward the top. Perfect. Then let's take, we have a bow from the kit. We're going to take that bow and we're going to pop out those centers there. This almost feels like a watercolor paper, which is kind of what brought me to the next step because it feels like watercolor paper. So we're going to take our dark old olive and we're going to color our bow to give it some color because, you know, very vanilla, which is what this bow is. It's a very vanilla kind of white. It's an off-white. Kind of makes it boring, right? We got to spruce it up. So you could color it any color you wanted to. If you wanted to turn this box into a birthday one, you could do blue or pink or yellow. So, all right, perfect. There we go. Then, because it's like a watercolor paper, it's almost like it adds in a little bit of a texture to it. So it makes it look like you watercolored instead of actually coloring it with blends. All right, I'm going to try to find some glue dots. Here we go. And we are going to put glue dots in just a couple of the places. Definitely in the center. And then let's put one over here. And then let's put one on each tail. All right, there we go. Then this is going to lay right over that little hole. And it's going to kind of slide in. I'm hoping I can get it to slide in right here to underneath our wreath there. Okay, and then we'll press those down and then ta-da. All right, so let's flip this over. We're going to go ahead and put some normal size dimensionals on it. And of course, we'll put our typical 9. One more. We'll take our backings off. And then we're going to stick this right on the top there. Perfect. Next, I'm going to take the sentiment, and this is one of the labels from the kit itself. We're going to take Cherry Cobbler, if I can get it open. There we go. And stamp Merry Christmas down on it. We're going to take many dimensionals. We're going to put one here, and then we may have to put a little bit, a little bit more over it in just a minute. But we're going to take and adhere this down right here in the center of that. And then if you feel like your edges are kind of popping up, like on this one, the edge seemed to be popping up. So I just put a little bit of liquid glue under it and then pressed it down and it stayed. So this one doesn't seem to be doing that though. So we're going to leave it just like that. Then we want to add in our little embellishments. These are embellishments from the kit. So we're just going to kind of look around and see if you can find any of the dimensionals that we put on, and we're just going to kind of lay it over, and it's going to cover up that white. And then we've got one here. Perfect. And then one here. And then one here. And since we've got 4, we've got to do another for 5, right? So let's do one right about here. Okay. Then last but not least, we are going to take the linen thread, which does come in the kit. But if you've been around my channel, you know I love linen thread, so I have lots of it anyway. And we are going to do what I call a double bow. So we're going to fold our piece in half. So we're just going to kind of give it so we've got 2 strings together. And then we are going to tie a nice size bow. We'll trim off those ends. And all we're going to do to trim it is we are going to take and cut that one like that. And then we're going to go that same length with the other one. Then we're going to grab a glue dot, put it on, and then you see it's too big, so we're just going to fold it on top of itself. We're going to stick it in the center of that one we colored, and then that is just a little too long for me, so we're just going to trim it right about there, and then come over here and trim this side here. Perfect. And then we've got our inside piece, so we just want to adhere that with our seal. Stick it right onto that inside. You can stamp the inside if you would like, but then there is card number 1. That is our first alternative. Simple, quick, and easy because you're really just adding in a couple pieces of cardstock and the rest of it is from that kit. Okay, so card number 2 is a little different for even me, but I kind of wanted something that almost looked a little antique-ish, and I wanted something that was just simple. So let me show you where I actually got this little layout from. Let me see if I can find it now, because you know when I need to find it, I won't be able to, right? But it is in this book, the holiday book, and it is pretty close to the front. Here we go. So it is this one right here. They used crumb cake as well. Sorry, I got a glue dot right there. So they used crumb cake, and this is the holiday mini catalog, but then they did a lot of stamping from this stamp set here. Well, I wanted to kind of use the wreath actual image from the stamp set. And so this is kind of where I got that idea. And then I just made it look a little bit more antique by adding a little bit extra to it. So if you ever get stuck with something, but you have something in your mind that you're trying to kind of put down on paper, I always go to the catalog, and then I can find a little bit of inspiration once I start playing around. So this is going to be the second card, and we're going to pull our pieces out. We're going to fold this in half, give it a good burnish, and then we're going to work on our card front. So I'm going to grab some grid paper again. We're going to use this right here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp in Mossy Meadow the wreath image. And I want those straight lines toward my right of the cardstock. So I'm going to stamp that right there. Perfect. Then we're going to take the Mossy Meadow Stampin' Right marker, which, if you don't know, these are retiring. Some have already sold out, but I will forever keep mine for this technique only. And we are going to actually add some splatter on our front. And I'm going to add quite a bit because I want it to kind of fill in and not look so blank on that front. All right, so then once I do that, we're going to move this and let that dry for just a second. We will take our basic white piece. I did mean to tell you there is a blog post that goes along with this, so make sure you check that out. It's got all the measurements on there. We're going to ink up our sentiment from Our Home to Yours with Poppy Parade. Ta-da. And then we're going to close. We're going to put adhesive on the back of that. And we're going to attach it to a pool party piece, which came straight from the catalog, that idea. And we're going to line it up and then line up here like that. Okay, perfect. Then we're going to take our dimensionals. Let me grab these. And we're going to attach these here. Ta-da. All right. We're going to lay this right here for just a moment because we don't want to adhere this down yet for fear of not being able to get our little foliage piece underneath it. Okay, so we're just going to kind of lay that there. We are going to grab our little piece. So this comes right from the kit, and we're just going to cut a little piece of it off as I throw around a whole bunch of stuff. So we're going to do, let's do this one here. So then we're just going to have to go around and trim off these pieces. And we'll actually cut that off. I think that'll work. Yes. Okay, so then we're just going to go and kind of trim those up so that they don't look like we really messed it all up. All right, there we go. I'm a little lefty, so let me just see if I can get it going this way. All right, there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to put a couple of glue dots on the back just to kind of hold it down. So we'll put one there, oop, and then we'll put one here. fingers are sticking to it. And let's see, I might need to put one here just to be on the safe side. We don't want it to fall off. Okay. Or, you know, peel up or anything like that. Okay, so then we're going to lay this right here, kind of off to the side from that wreath. Press it down, and then we can take the backs off now and adhere it down. Okay, so we're going to do this right about here. Make sure we're straight. There we go. All right, let's do our little antique look to it. We're going to take our bone folder, and we're going to take and just kind of use that bone folder to go back and forth. And what it's going to do is separate our cardstock. And it's going to kind of come down the center like that. And then I'm just going to take and roll this like that. We're going to take a little stapler. This is retired from Stampin' Up, but you can use any stapler that you have. And we're just going to staple there. Then we're going to come down here to the bottom right corner. And we're going to do the same thing. Just use that bone folder to really kind of get the fibers to break apart. And then we're just going to pull them apart. And we're just going to kind of tuck that one up and let it go like that. Now, the other thing you could do to make it look more antique is you could take a pair of scissors and run along the side. I didn't want to do that. I just kind of wanted those two edges to be that way. You could do all four edges, or you could do the whole cardstock if you wanted to. Totally up to you. So we're going to flip that over, grab our dimensionals. I didn't want it to be a card that took a long time to do all of that. So I just wanted something that would just add a little extra to it, because it really doesn't have a lot on it. It's kind of a very plain, simple card. All right, so then we're going to take and put all these together here. And then let's take and put this on the card front like that. We'll take our inside piece and we're going to go ahead and adhere this down to the inside. Okay, perfect. And then last but not least, these are some new embellishments that came out in the last online exclusive, and I've had them sitting in the drawer and hadn't used them, but I think it's the perfect color, the pecan pie, to add to our card front. So we're going to put one here, and then we're going to put two little ones up here. Just adds a little extra to it. All right, and then that is card number 2. So, and I did 2 different of the foliage because I used that for something else for myself. And so that was just kind of the leftover piece that I had. So that's why we cut a new one tonight. But obviously you can use whichever one you want. Here was our first card. Now this week there will not be a third one because we did the quick little live the other day with the boxes. Even though Facebook cut me off. But we are just doing these 2 projects. So if you order, if you are one that orders during the week, for this week, you will get the make and take for both of these projects. Plus, you will get a half a pack of these embellishments. Okay, so you'll get half of this side and then half of this side over here, and then that will be mailed to you. So that you can obviously create this card, but that will be the extra little incentive since I won't have an additional project for you to create this week. Make sure you go over and check out the blog post. It'll give you all the measurements for the cardstock, as well as any other products that were used. And guess what I forgot to do? Forgot to add our little linen bow. So don't forget that on yours if you decide to recreate. All right, everyone, thanks so much for joining me tonight, and I will see you next Monday. Bye.